Chapter 5. You want to get Smoten? Karenna. As Karenna sat at the center station on the dim bridge, she looked at her crew and wondered what she had gotten them into. Ancients' helper. May have seemed weird, invoking the ancients, when she was one herself. But since the divinity of ancients was just a myth, she'd used the same vernacular as everyone else. The Crawley priests had told her, back when she was a kid, a normal human, non-immortal kid, that ancients were revered because they were some direct channel back to their ancestors, which was a total crock, she could now report with authority. Deidre Hollis, working at her station after a long day of helping over on Hawking, caught Karenna's glance and nodded in the affirmative. The techs were right. Comms are back up with Fleet Command. I'm getting all the normal message traffic. Haven't tested QuantCom physically, but all systems look green. Karenna opened her mouth to ask for a status update, but Hollis held up a stalling hand as she flicked up with the other, scrolling through messages displayed on her projection. Karenna's cheeks burned, as if she had overstepped her bounds. Wait, she was the captain here. Sigh. This crew. You can update me in my office whenever you're ready, Ensign, she said. And even though her voice was dry, she wasn't mad. Not really. And Hollis smiled at her and twirled a strand of her chestnut brown hair. If she squinted just right at the projection screen, she could see the echo of the old Hollis, who would not have taken the time to check on her bridge job straight after coming from an extra assignment. This crew. Gods, they were the best. Admiral Montague's words came back to her when he had convinced her to take this command. You single-handedly rehabilitated Maxime DuPont from ne'er-do-well disgrace to full-fledged free captain. I think you and Brett can handle a few insubordinate kids. She shook her head and walked into her office. Her desk remained clean, which looked amazing, but it was only because she had thrown her flimsy paper and data pads and extra codices and photographs and coffee pods and her trusty holocom into storage before they had went into zero gravity. Rounding the corner, she smiled at her favorite picture, the one of her and Tim and Hollis and Grady, laughing as they shared drinks in the crew lounge. She purposely kept it the main picture on her display, so she never had to put it away, even on float. But her desk's sterile emptiness grated, like a staged sham. People trained at the academy embraced neat, orderly lives, clear desks and made beds. Not everyone wore the stereotype, of course, but most people who had risen to leadership had at least some measure of internal discipline and order. Would she have ever ended up where she was without becoming an ancient? Why was she even one? Because seriously, no one knew how ancients were formed. One day, someone could get a deep cellular scan and realize they had stopped aging and poof, proclaimed an ancient. Though it was extremely rare, and no one understood how, it had been happening long enough that people just rolled with it. Hollis chimed and entered with Karenna's nod. Sorry, Hollis said. I can't trust my bridge relief to prioritize messages correctly and... It's fine. Anything new? She almost asked, Is Fleet Command up our ass? Fleet hasn't inquired why we haven't entered drive, if that's what you're asking, she said, and they haven't appeared to track our new arrival. Speaking of tracking Union ships, Captain DuPont's night is about 2 days out. We'll be out of here by then? Karenna sighed and rolled her shoulders. Maybe not, she muttered. That wouldn't be good. The local government didn't like too many Union ships in its space at one time. So, Hawking. How was it? Seemed normal, like our past. No upside-down society or over-militarization or whatever. Hollis hesitated. We met you. Didn't tell her anything, but I think the rumor mill is flying over there. We might need to make a decision about future interactions sooner rather than later. Karenna spent a moment in silence, mind trying to catch up to what Hollis had just said. You met me? She's kind of cute, actually. Curly-ass head of hair. Has a mouth on her. That was her, all right. Karenna shook her head, as if to clear out the cobwebs. None of this computed. Hollis bit her lip. Want me to set up a call with Fleet Command? Karenna stood and began to pace. No, let's... She looked at her viewport, trying to will some sort of vision. She had sensed the emergence of Hawking into her present. It was almost like she had called it into existence and had responded to her like a soulful contramelody to her joyful soprano. But now Hawking remained inert in the endless black, her secrets close to Karenna. No premonition, no direction. There was no urgency. She could consult with Fleet Command, and they would tell her what they wanted her to do next, which likely would be to disengage and work as remotely as possible to send them back to their own time. But if she did that, she would never figure out the answer to the question she'd been asking for decades. What makes someone an ancient? And why me? And why on that day as I brushed up against a rift? Right. Decision made. Karenna leaned her head out her office. Exo, need you in here. She paused. Bring Lakani, too. Brett said to her plan. Karenna frowned, avoiding those piercing eyes. Brett, do we need to have a conversation about this? I can feel your simmering resentment from here. It's emanating in waves. She accompanied her statement with undulating hand gestures. He gave her a look of wry tolerance. No resentment, Captain. I'm just worried about your judgment in this, is all. Doing this on your own. Brett's tone carried like a breeze that stiffened her spine. This was her room. This was her ship. She sat back, eyebrows arched. Meaning? If the commander noted her, you do know I'm the boss, voice. He ignored it and forged on. You don't want Fleet to say you can't continue contact with Hawking. Exo, I assure you, after I left Hawking, I never wanted to see, hear, or think about those people again. You don't want them to see you all grown? What? She snorted. And all successful like? Yes. Oh. The thought loosened some hidden yearning with a pang. Mommy, look at me now, desire, that almost brought tears to her eyes, and so she shut them tight and then opened back up with a snap. Karenna tapped her desk in a distracted rat-a-tat-tat and grumbled. Can't get this damned crew home. Don't feel too successful. She turned to Tim, who had stayed decidedly silent. Thoughts? I can't believe you haven't told Montague. She sighed. I'm not going to let Fleet tell me what to do all the time. Yeah, Tim said in response, tersely. Uncharacteristically terse, in fact. Problem, Lakani? He let out a noisy breath. Is there a reason you wanted me in this meeting, Captain? She said, in slight disbelief at his attitude. Yes. With Grady still over there and Lee working her ass off on the engines, I need you to send a packet over to them explaining exactly what's going on with the propulsive matter in this sector of space. The conclusions we have on why we can't form a dry bubble. They locked eyes. Unbidden, Karenna's palms began to sweat. She wiped them discreetly on her uniform trousers. Breathe in. Breathe out. She turned to Brett. Reach out to them. Let them know they'll be meeting with us both for a briefing. See if 1600 hours works. She tapped a finger to her lip. Sync our clocks with theirs. Okay, we're doing this. We sure as hell are. It's a fucking mistake. That was Tim. Oh, so quiet. Oh, so low. Voice almost dangerous. Her heart contracted. She flexed her hand. Squeeze. Release. Control. She closed her eyes and took a few shaky breaths. Not now, damn it. The panic always came on quick, like an approaching Derico. Never convenient, often embarrassing. Triggered by a loved one's short-tempered words, or a perceived rebuke. She opened her eyes, found Tim watching her carefully. She didn't want him to see and to understand. She shut her eyes again, head buzzing and dizzy. Brett, excuse us for a sec. Slight voice waver. It would have to do. Brett nodded, keeping a carefully blank expression. When he left, Karenna took a shaky breath. Is this you trying to protect me? Because you're scaring me instead. There, she said it, named, without explanations. without apologies. Tim's mouth parted. Are you okay? I think I'm good. Just you're pissed, right? Not just being protective? He took a moment, then nodded ruefully. He didn't elaborate. But still, she wanted to dive under a chair. Damn it all to Hades. That damned ship. Karenna? Tim asked with palpable concern. It wasn't Tim's fault. It wasn't hers either. It was all these, the scabbed over wounds of that ship, those people, this broken heart. All it took was one tiny thing, a whisper of memory, and it would knock her on her ass and rip off the shielding, and suddenly pain would ooze out. It didn't matter anymore what any of this was originally about, because God's damn it to all the patron saints of strong, badass women. She was quivering. So hard to breathe. Karenna, came his voice then, cool and authoritative. Name 5 things you see. She gulped, fighting the clawing feeling crawling up her belly, heart-throat. She was the Karenna Lakani, damn it. Projection monitor, uniform cap, fancy light fixtures, airplane model, curly hair. I'm good, she croaked. Almost there. Like another person spoke the words. Right, he paused. Are you going to be able to do this afternoon? He opened his arms. She rested on him and he stroked her hair, idly working out tangles. People deal with this sort of thing all the time. He hummed in rebuke, but didn't challenge her. Okay, no, people didn't usually literally come face to face with their pasts, but they both knew what she meant. She spent a few minutes breathing slow, placing one hand on her chest. This afternoon, he repeated after a while. Hells yes, I can deal with it. Seriously? Because you're shaking. She kissed him, put her forehead against his, ran her fingers through that impossibly soft hair. Imagining the two of them, bathed in starlight, calm sea in the midst of a storm. Someone could capture them like this, two who showed such different faces to the universe, able to just be. I'll be able to handle this, she said, that shake in her voice, not fear, determination, strong-willed, bull-headed stubbornness. You know why? Why? He asked, a smile evident in his voice, though he also shook his head in concern. She looked him straight in the eye, body back under control. Because I'm a goddamn professional, that's why. He gave her another kiss on her forehead and squeezed her tight. They were interrupted by the chime of a comm. Captain, we have a new contact coming out of AB drive on our vector. On the bridge, Brett was frowning. How didn't we detect this bogey before? Another chime sounded at Hollis's station. Hollis's mouth spelled an O of realization and relief. It's night. Somehow they're ahead of schedule. She looked up. They want to talk to you. Karenna gave Hollis an "Are you fucking kidding me with this shit?" look. She uselessly searched the screen for a visual, but they weren't yet in range. Tell them to wait a minute. She turned to Brett. With another Union ship here, we might be running into a problem. Ma'am, Hollis interjected, their captain didn't seem so happy about... As if on cue, Captain Maxime DuPont's sardonic voice filled the bridge. What the fuck, Kay? You won't answer my hails? And what in Hades is that ship? His dark features coalesced slowly, arranging themselves a few pixels at a time, as if he were a demon summoned out of the ether. Probably due to whatever program he had used to jack into her comm system. Good to see you too, Max. Why, yes, I'm headed home after many long years. Oh, we may do. Thanks for asking. You made me use my super secret hail buster, he complained. I was worried. Max, she said, what are you doing here? Great. They had settled right back into their old patterns. DuPont chewing scenery, and Karenna pinching her nose and wondering where her life went wrong to deserve him. What am I doing here? You're supposed to be in a drive bubble toward Earth. You know how the Baumgarten government feels about more than one Union ship near its system at a time. He shook his finger at her. Naughty, naughty. Yes, the bomb governor was about to throw a hissy fit to the fleet. 3 Union ships now sitting just outside his star system. And she hadn't even updated command yet. Montague was going to kill her. We had some complications, she hedged. Yeah? DuPont turned to the side and checked something on his codex. Okay, what in the hells is this? He asked with glee. This transponder code. Look, Max, as you can tell, we're kind of in the middle of something here. Of what? A historical reenactment? Just... Karenna pinched her brow. How long had it been? 3 years? Longer? Captain Max. Idiosyncratic, flamboyant, effervescent, yet still a grouchy, irascible asshole. By the gods, she had missed him. You're right about the crowd, she conceded. Hopefully we'll be on our way soon. Seriously doubt that, Kay. At her raised eyebrows, he continued. You didn't know? Do you have any idea what... Okay, here. He pulled something up and pushed it to their screens. Said Grady, watching a depiction of Knight's turbulent arrival in system. Yeah, we were on our way here, slowing down to exit the bubble in a couple days, and suddenly the hand of Zeus smote us down and yode us through the system. Something's wrong with space around here, so what I want to know is, what in Jove's wrinkly butt crack is going on? Indeed. As your resident divine ancient, I have no idea. None at all. Sorry, she said. Brett ducked his head in amusement. Karenna shrugged back at him. It was quite the excellent adventure, except the part where we got smote. Did I tell you about the smiting? The main thing we need to do, said DuPont's XO, looking at their captain with fond exasperation, is to warn all governments not to send any more ships this direction, including especially civilian and merchant. True. Any ships en route, of which thankfully were probably few, given Baumgarten's isolation, would need to shift and head toward Centauri. They tapped their screen and leaned forward. But we have a bigger problem. Have your comms officer tell you. Karenna swiveled toward Hollis, who was looking at her display in consternation. The government of Baumgarten's already freaking out. We just got a very concerned message from Governor Callis about the whole violating his sovereignty thing, and he copied the entire Joint Exploration Committee. Shit. Montague wasn't going to kill her. That'd be too easy. He was going to hand her her ass. Literally. He was going to reach through the screen, pluck it, and say, here's your ass. Tim winced. That'll be a fun conversation. Hey, Vice Admiral Montague, guess what? Our drive failed again, and we might have started an interstellar incident. Oh, and we have a time-traveling ship here we totally didn't tell you about. Karenna rolled her eyes with a confidence she didn't feel. He's all bark, no bite. I can handle him. She turned to her comms officer. Hollis, go ahead and contact the Union about halting arrivals to Baumgarten. Max, she said to the man waiting with crossed arms and tapping feet, be patient and we'll fill you in. Oh, and also... Yeah, he said, giving her that insufferable smile. Awareness of her entire bridge crew behind her burned into her back as they watched her lose control of yet another situation. One warning only, she bit out. Don't hack into my communication systems again. DuPont laughed with delight, which didn't bode well at all.